All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia. I'm the founder and CEO of GAR Capital. It is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. Glad to be with you this morning. And usually every morning, I didn't do a YouTube video yesterday since the fact that over the weekend I did the weekly recap and preview of the week for everyone on YouTube. So if you missed that one, make sure to check that out on our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe as well. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Thanks again for being on. Let's go ahead and get started. If you have any questions, feel free to type it out on the chat board on the YouTube. Also on Instagram, I'll go back and forth between questions as I see them. Just be patient with me. Thanks, guys. Dow futures are down 158 points. Nasdaq's down 135. S&P down 30. And the Russell's down 0.43%. Crude oil is up 1%, 70.75 a barrel. $2.03 for gasoline futures, up 1.22%. Gold futures is up 0.41%. Silver, we had SLV calls over the weekend. We caught them yesterday. We had a pullback on silver towards the early beginning of the session, I think right around 10 in the morning. And we went in and closed it because the culprit here is the US dollar. What you're seeing in front of you is our live market blog. Scrolling on the bottom of your screen tells you exactly how to join the live market blog. This guy is the problem. Look at here. This is the dollar above the 200-day now. Again, I was expecting us to reject the 200-day. We did not. This is going to hurt commodities, usually anyways, but gold is up and copper's up and silver too. But it's going to hold back equities, that's for sure. So that's really been kind of that holding us back type of action is really just our currency versus other currencies. The US dollar. 10-year treasury yields 4.186. There's a 15% chance, at least it's being priced in, that we will get no rate cuts in November. The expectation is 25. That's what I expect as well. Dollar index 104.04. That's up 0.60%, as you can see above the 200-day. The volatility index, the VIX, up 5% this morning. Let's take a look here. Bitcoin is down 1%. Again, I'm going to blame the dollar, and Ethereum down 2%. Same old deal. So that's kind of the culprit right now. I've been talking about that on our server as well on the Market Watch channel. Got a couple of trades open. We do have Meta puts. That was a signal sent out. You could see that Meta is down about, $3 this morning. We also have XLF puts, shorted the financials. They are down, it's down this morning. So we're actually going to test in the money here soon at 47. We went ahead and traded NVIDIA yesterday. And NVIDIA pretty much in its own orbit at this point. You can see it's trading at 143.44, slightly down this morning from yesterday's close. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Where can I find this? All right. Here was NVIDIA, our option signal. 1252 is when we got the close. Actually, it was 352. Shout out to Anthony, who's on the West Coast working hard. Thank you, my brother. But take a look here. NVIDIA. 3 stocks we were watching. This was yesterday at near 7:30 in the morning. And we had it set up here. NVIDIA looking for the move above 140.89. We got that push and we caught it. So well done. Freebie for everybody. I believe it was on Twitter as well. So if you caught that, excellent work. The team also caught NVIDIA. We also caught Palantir calls and we caught the silver trade. So let's see if we can go ahead and catch that Meta trade as well. As you can see, we're Meta puts and XLF puts. So far, so good. Let's go ahead and take a look at futures this morning. All right, we're going to start with the S&P 500. At this point, level of support for me, first thing I'm looking at is 58.50. And again, this is really contingent on what the dollar does. If the dollar pulls back, equities are going to bounce. And if the dollar continues to flex its muscle, meaning get stronger, stocks are going to be affected. S&P 500, 58.50 is my alert for the break for the downside. If we do break that, you're targeting 58.25 for a 25-point gain on the 20-day moving average. You could see that has been a level that we have stayed above. We wicked below on the 8th of October, but we've been above that 20-day really since the 13th of September. So, only way I would see a change of trend is if we start breaking down below that. But as of right now, we're just waiting for the election day, so we can see what the market responds. But as we get closer, markets may get a little jittery. Remember, October usually is a weaker stock market, seasonally speaking. So none of this should be new. Let's take a look at NASDAQ futures. 445, if we get the pop higher, that would take you to 500. 20,294. That's the 20-day. And we haven't been below the 20 days since the 8th of October, excuse me. Just like I talked about with S&P 500. Let's take a look at a more short-term time frame on the 1 hour. Pretty much just since the 8th of October, we're kind of just stuck in that range of around 391 to around 450. You could see that kind of box there. Sometimes you get a break, sometimes you get a breakdown, but all this is just chop. All of this is just sideways action. Again, right in October. So really, we would need a real big move below 20,250 or so, or 20,550 or above. So you got 300 points to trade or play with if you are scalping around, but nothing in terms of changing the trend as of yet, at least at this moment. We do have Tesla coming up in terms of earnings tomorrow. To me, this looks like nothing I want to touch, especially with that expensive IV, implied volatility. Let's wait and react instead of predict. Let's see what Tesla says. But as of right now, I will not touch it until their earnings are set in stone. We did play Boeing or trade Boeing last week, and we caught that. It is pushing higher, or was. We still have that gap to fill here at 171. They report earnings tomorrow. So another one I'm not going to touch, but at least we traded it last week. So we take advantage of it. If Boeing comes up with something positive, maybe we can go with the 172s, 175 calls if we get some kind of juice. But until then, it's a wait and see game. Let's see what we get. Do I have meta? Inject 7. All right, let's go ahead and answer some questions. All right. Price to call ratio on T2, put to call ratio on TQQ is at 6.6, or am I tripping? I don't have the put to call ratio for TQQ especially, but put to call ratio, I have 66 on the S&P. So it is leaning kind of to the point. Let me see if I can get a chart. Let's see where it's at exactly. The higher the number, the higher amount of people are buying puts. Lower the number, more people are buying calls. So it's usually kind of a bullish sign if we get a low PCSP, put call ratio. You can see we're 66. I think that's what you were talking about, Dylan. Let me go ahead and show this question so everyone can see it. Again, this is just on the S&P 500. You can see we're in the top range of it. So usually, what does this mean, team? Probably we're going to get a bounce. Bounce of some kind. We'll get some call buying here pretty soon. I would not be surprised this morning on NASDAQ. Keep in mind that we'll probably get a bounce as traders are probably covering their shorts. That's usually the issue that we have right at 9:30. 9:30 is for getting out of trades, not getting in. Just keep that in mind because things usually flip as the orders pile in. Maybe we had a lot of shorts overnight since we're seeing this price action here. Again, just chop. But as they cover their shorts, what happens? It boosts higher because you have to buy to close. Good morning, CEO. Carlos is just fine. Thank you. Super helpful weekly review. Thank you for that. Apple, please. A lot of PT at 260. With RC earnings and elections, would you look at that level as a target? So I'm going to use target meaning the next 12 months. That's usually how the price targets work. Now, to be quite honest, you can use any number you want because it's at all-time highs. It's really just to your imagination. And of course, stock splits. If we're just doing the 161.8 fib extension based on the lows in 2022 or 2022, yep, at 124.17, the next 12-month target might be too low, 246.61. So let's just call it 250. 260 isn't bad, but it's a name that you're going to hold forever. Apple's a great company. We know this. I mean, it was great at 100, 200, pre-split, after split. They're a cash machine. At this point, we're just looking at what numbers we want to get, which is fine. But yes, 260 is a possibility for next year. Absolutely. I am bullish for 2025. 2026, I'm a little bearish. Every midterm election year tends to be pretty bad. 2022, 2018, if you guys remember. So 2025, great. 2026, let's be careful. That's my point. Good morning, Microsoft. And Microsoft does report, I believe, next week. So let's keep that in mind. Microsoft is still holding up this trend line. It's actually green versus the NASDAQ, which is red. They reported some news. If we went ahead and posted it here on the live market blog, just got to scroll down a little bit. Take a look at this. All right. NVIDIA is planning to invest in Thailand. NVIDIA set to unveil investment plans for Thailand, joining Alphabet and Microsoft as Southeast Asia. So that could, remember, the biggest customer for NVIDIA is Microsoft. So maybe there's a little bit of a linkage there as we're seeing the positive price action in NVIDIA and Microsoft. 422.50. If we can get there, I'm really looking for 433. If we're going into earnings, this is where it gets really, really curious, depending on where we are. If we're around this level here, then you're at a really critical pivot point. But if we are around 441 to around 450, that's kind of the target I'm looking for post earnings. So am I bullish earnings for Microsoft? I am. The reaction is really the thing we need to figure out, but tough one. As of right now, 422.50. If you get above it, fine. You could trade up to 435, but with earnings next week, you'd have to do it for this week. Good morning, Amazon. Amazon, still waiting for 191 to break. If it does, I'm going to target 195. Painless is asking about Mara. Any opportunities there? Get me above 20. You could see that was the R that we had back in June of 2023. If we break above that, I'll keep an eye on the options volume out there, maybe up to 22. Again, we kind of want to keep it pretty close, and we need that dollar to pull back. That's going to be the key. That's going to really help Bitcoin get us back to all-time highs, which is coming this year. Don't front. It's going to be fine. Again, it's just this damn dollar. We need this down, and that's all election stuff, guys. Everyone is absolutely terrified, or the world is, the same thing that we go through every single 4 years. It's called an election. You can only vote once, and that's it. There's your control. You have no more than that. We'll see you the day after. Until then, guys, it's kind of a holding pattern at this point. Let's take a look at FCX. Copper, as we know, there's a gap to fill here at 45.85. I don't like that, but it is setting up for a possible inverse head and shoulders, as you can see. Left shoulder, here's your head, right shoulder. So if you kind of want to use 46.67 as support, that would be your shoulder line or neckline, whatever you want to call it. And you got as high as to go as to 54.31. If anything stands out in FCX in terms of the options volume, you want to look for longer dated expiries, maybe November, December, January, with the assumption that we're going to get more rate cuts and a softer dollar, which boosts copper. Hello. Hello, impress us, MU. All right, MU, I'm looking for, I have my alerts here. I have two alerts, actually. So 116.90, that's what I'm looking for. That breaks this upward trend line. Again, I'm still looking for this inverse head and shoulders, but you got to get me above 117 or so before I can take a look at trading MU. NVIDIA was better off anyways. All right, going into Instagram, seeing if there's any questions. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I know it's 9 a.m. this morning. You're probably having your first cup of coffee, but thank you so much for joining at least this IG Live. No questions. Everyone is just chilling, it looks like. Good stuff all around. Thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. We'll go ahead and wrap it up. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Let's make it a really great one, and I will see you guys tomorrow and on the Discord server. If you are interested in joining, make sure to take a look at our website, www.gar.capital, celebrating 10 years of service. Thank you so much. I will see y'all tomorrow. Cheers.